This is installment 3 of the Train Vicar. Different people are fascinated by different things in the world of railways.
Some folk really like the sound of diesel motors revving up at night. Others are fascinated by the sounds and sights of steam. I quite like the efficiency of electric locomotives, especially if they're still a bit old school with all that romance associated with it. Rather than the motors or high performance trains or anything like that, I like the regularity of railways, the planning, the processes, but also sort of the reliability and the quiet stillness of railways. So, in particular, somehow I quite like branch railways, or not the main railway lines, and where railways travel through nice countryside, and particularly somehow with the regularity of electric travel. Now, I do like steam trains as well, and the certain romance that is associated with it. And of course, I grew up mainly with diesel trains, but over time, it was this quiet steadiness of the railways that I really appreciated. Of course, it's always exciting to have something different there. For example, a steam train coming through, or a heavy freight train in an area where there's mainly passenger trains. Others have a different emphasis, maybe the high speed trains or the high performance heavy freight trains or something like that. But of course, they all together make the whole system of railways.
Some people are just concerned about moving people or goods from A to B as efficiently as possible. And that's really all they're interested in. And, well, as you know, railways can be a good thing for that too. Other people are more interested in some of the minutiae. For example, they really like the different locomotive types, modifications that they have lived through their lives. Some really are into the passenger trains, some into the infrastructure, the bridges, and so on. It's all, different interests. And I sometimes wonder, now this is an analogy that I have to be careful with, whether, whether in the church there's something similar. Some people are just interested about the basics, the Bible, Jesus, and how we might relate to God. Others are mainly interested in the details surrounding it, and sometimes totally forget about the main thing. So, for example, they worry about the vestments that are worn during a church service, or the exact ritual that should be done, and so on. And just like different locomotive classes, the design of churches and buildings and denominations, they're all very interesting, but they're not the main thing. And yet still, it's fascinating to see the beauty in how we worship God, how we come together as a Christian community. Maybe that's something similar, to the types of characters that are used. They're not the main thing, but they're still affect how we experience travel, and our church life affects our experience in how we relate to God and to others. So I just wonder whether we can use that analogy to help us realize that, yes, we experience our faith differently, but the main thing is still the main thing. Getting there, the journey is still important where we go to. And so the word of God will always be the main thing. The other things, they illustrate the beauty of what we do as we go with God as we travel through our life. And so maybe that's why some of us may get interested in what locomotive hauls our train, and others in the church life, what denomination they belong to, or what bishop, for example, was in place at a certain time. These are not the main things, but of course, as we get interested in the life of the church, we realize that these things affect our life together. So that's why they draw our attention. So I hope the analogy fits to a certain degree. You can't push it too much, but I still hope that we can see what's the main thing, but also see the beauty around how we celebrate and worship God in our own time.